It's time for the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. Stay tuned as we discuss local and national sports from Southeast Missouri and beyond. The Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle is brought to you by Royal Retros. If you like cool throwback jerseys of defunct sports teams, Royal Retros is the place to buy. If you go to royalretros.com and you order with the code SPORTSDESK, all one word, you can get a little bit off your order. So check out Royal Retros. And now on with the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.
And welcome back to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. I'm Mike Bueller, calling in from the cabin today because my back has been giving me problems for a little while.
I'm Mark Sanders. I am on the board at the Gus Ridgel branch of the Poplar Bluff Library, commanding the Starship Enterprise today.
Oh, and live from his bed and in first place in the NFC West, this is Kyle Roberts. How you doing?
We got an exciting show today, guys. We are going to talk a lot of football. We're going to talk some Raiders and Lady Raiders basketball. And we are hoping to have a special guest with us in the studio after a while. But we are going to lead off by recapping last weekend's, it's still early here, but last weekend's Missouri State high school football quarterfinal games. And we're going to lead off with a ridiculously exciting game that happened at the Pitt-Jackson, where the Jackson Indians took down CBC Cadets 45-42, knocking off the consensus number one team in the state, and did it in pretty impressive fashion. Jackson got up 31-7 at one point. They were up 38-21 at half, led 45-28 in the second half, and withstood a furious comeback by CBC. Pretty exciting thing. There was about 2 minutes left. Jackson had the ball. It was fourth down, and they had a choice: either punt it and trust your defense to stop CBC from scoring a potential game-tying field goal or game-winning touchdown, or go for it on fourth down and potentially run out the clock. Jackson and head coach Ryan Nesbitt went for it on fourth down, got the first down, ran out the clock, and got a statement win. Mark, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I just want to point out that I picked them to win. I don't have much else to hang my hat on this week. But they're going to the Final Four. They're going to be taking on Lee's Summit. I think they can probably handle that Lee's Summit team. What worries me, if they make it to the finals, they're likely to be facing, I believe it's the defending state champion Nixa team. Is that correct?
Yes, and we have talked a little bit about their beast of an offensive lineman in Jackson Cantwell. Kyle, I believe you're familiar with him, so I'm going to let you chime in on that.
Yeah, Jackson Cantwell is headed to play for Mario Cristobal and the Miami Hurricanes. I've seen they're not they aren't that title back just yet, but yeah, they're well on their way. But I saw this kid play as a junior last year in person. I have never, and I've been attending and following Webb City football for close to the entire time I've lived out here. And let me tell you something, I had never seen anyone that physically dominated the Webb City Cardinals, who are one of the most historically dominant programs in Missouri high school football. I have never seen anyone push them around with such ease. This kid is 6'8", 310 pounds, and he's an all-state shot put performer as well.
Good Lord.
Nixa is an absolute wagon. But they beat Carthage this year, who's a very, very strong team that's still alive, I might add, in class. I believe Carthage is class 4. They're still alive in their playoffs. They ran through Joplin, beat Webb this year. Like there's been very, very few teams to give Nixa any kind of a problem. Honestly, watching them gives me vibes, and this makes me want to vomit, but it gives me vibes of Tom Osborne, Nebraska football, in terms of physically dominating at the line of scrimmage.
Wow.
This kid he's a grown man playing against toddlers, basically.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like those old videos of LeBron in high school and you're like, why is that 30-year-old man playing against all these high school kids?
Actually, it's funny you say that, because you know who I actually thought was older than they were in high school was Greg Oden, who I thought low-key kind of looked like LeBron.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Cool trivia. I was talking to my good friend Brooke Warmington over the weekend because Brooke, she's a Jackson mom. Her daughter cheers there. And I was telling Brookie, I said, Jackson Cantwell is good enough. He's probably going to be playing on Sundays one day.
There's no question about it. You don't find kids, and I so wish Mizzou could have kept him in state. I'll just say this: Miami's Miami, but when you don't find kids like that grow on trees in this area for the most part. It's not, and not saying obviously that this side of the state hasn't produced NFL talent. Obviously, we have Isaiah Davis, who plays running back for the Jets. Played his high school. He's a Joplin High grad. Tristan Colon Castillo, who's a center in the NFL. He played at he's a West Virginia or Webb City grad. So it's not for nothing, but yeah, this kid is a whole different level.
Grant Wister was another guy from your neck of the woods. Don't forget him.
Yeah. I know.
Hey, he was a Ram, though, Kyle.
It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because he played for that stinking school in Lincoln, Nebraska, too. Just, ew.
Oh, well, you know what? Here's what's funny, guys. Mark and Kyle both hate Nebraska. I used to live in Nebraska, so I'm a Huskers fan, even though we got absolutely pantsed in Happy Valley this past weekend. Their quarterback Mahomes Jr. is out for the season, so that that had a lot to do with it. But we're going to switch gears and we're going to get back to talking high school football. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the Jackson Lee Summit game. That game's in Lee Summit on Saturday afternoon. It's going to be interesting. Lee Summit's hot right now. I think they have won 8 in a row. They might have started something like 0-4, but they have been on a hot streak. However, Jackson is fresh off toppling the number 1 team in the state. I like their chances of getting to the state championship. I'm going to take Jackson in this one.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking Jackson. Jackson's averaging 53 points per game. Lee Summit is only scoring 27. Jackson, even by giving up 42 points to CBC, which actually holding CBC to 42 points was a pretty impressive defensive performance. Their average is still just at 15.5 points a game. Lee Summit is giving up almost 22 points a game. So I think the Indians' offense is going to come in and overwhelm the Tigers on the road.
It's going to be interesting, and we're going to switch gears and talk a little bit about another state quarterfinal game from this past weekend. Dexter went to St. Louis County, played Lift for Life at Millville High School, and had an absolutely gut-wrenching 8-6 loss. Dexter kicked a couple of first-half field goals, led 6-0 at halftime. Lift for Life scored a touchdown in the second half, the only touchdown in the game. That one I've heard was somewhat controversial. I did not see it, but from what I've heard, it's not a question of did he break the plane. It's a question of did he have control while breaking the plane. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, high school football does not have instant replay. Lift for Life for the second year in a row beats Dexter, ending what has been a great season for Dexter. I still think there's some good days ahead for the Bearcats. I think they've got some pieces coming back, and hats off to Chad Jameson and his crew over in Stoddard County.
Yeah,
Hello?
I think it's a disappointing loss. I mean, only being able to put up 6 points on offense. I mean, obviously that's an issue. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what else to say about it. I didn't see the game, and I don't know the details. But Dexter was an offensive juggernaut the entire season, and it just, I don't know. It seems unlikely that that any defense would have been able to hold them just to a pair of field goals. I just without being able to read a game summary of that, I can't really say whether, what was the difference there. Did the Bearcats make mistakes on offense? Did they, how close did they come to being able to move the ball, or did Lift for Life's defense just completely shut them down at the line? Without that knowledge, I can't really say. I can just say that it's really disappointing. And if you had told me that Dexter would have only been able to score 6 points against them, I was, man, that is just really unlikely, because like I said, they had no trouble scoring against anybody. I mean, even in their one loss that they had, they scored 3 touchdowns and came really close at the end to actually winning that game over Park Hill Central. So, yeah, it's you can't say anything at all about a loss like this except that it's really disappointing, and just hope to build on that again next year.
Agreed. And in the other team in Southeast Missouri that had a state quarterfinal game, the Hayti Indians went up to Vandalia and took an impressive 38-14 win over the Van Far Indians, and they are in the semifinals this Saturday. They are hosting Putnam County out of north central Missouri. I mean, Putnam County is basically about a hop, skip, and a jump from Iowa. So, I mean, that's a long trip down for Putnam County. And that's going to be an interesting, because that Putnam County program has got a lot of tradition for a small school. They have made a lot of deep playoff runs over the years. That's going to be a great matchup, but Hayti has been playing great there at home. I am going to take the Indians in this one.
Well, that's a bold prediction. Putnam County's undefeated this season. They're scoring almost 43 points a game and giving up an absolutely absurd 7.3 points per game. Hayti's averages are more reasonable, 32 points on offense, 26.5 points on defense. Taking a look at Putnam County's season record, we'll see how that 12-0 record holds up. They've played 4 teams with a winning record. They've only played 4 teams with a winning record. South Harrison, who finished 9-2, they won that game by 2 touchdowns. Brookfield, they won 29-16. Brookfield finished the season 8-3. Gallatin with Tri-County, barely above 500, a 6-5 team. They beat 42-16. And then their quarterfinal, they beat an 11-1 Salisbury team 18-0. So I think if Hayti can jump out in front, score a couple of really quick touchdowns, but I think if Hayti has any hope of winning, they're going to have to solve Putnam County's defense pretty early in the game. But being at home, I mean, at this point, you're playing with house money. So, I mean, why not go for it? They have a really high-powered offense. They've got a quarterback who can run the ball all the way into the end zone at any time. Got a running back who can do the same thing. They've got a couple of receivers who have good hands and are really speedy. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe Hayti can come out and just overwhelm the midgets with offense. I'm not going to pick Hayti to win, but I sure am going to be pulling for them as they play.
It's going to be an interesting one this Saturday over in Hayti. Before we talk NFL and stuff, we are going to talk a little bit of Raiders and Lady Raiders basketball. Three Rivers men and women were both at home this past Saturday and both got some pretty solid wins. The Lady Raiders beat Vincennes 63-58, overcame a game where they played really sluggish, pulled out a win. It was a similar story in the men's game where Three Rivers beat Southern Arkansas University Tech 82-72. And that was a nice win for them because they were coming off a frustrating loss the weekend before to Wabash Valley where they were very flat. And they said neither team played their best this past Saturday, but they found a way to win. And that's what good teams do. They find a way to win even when they are not having their best games.
Well, with basketball, it's a long season. It really is. It really is a slog at some time, at some times. And the fact, if you don't already know, I'm a professor at Three Rivers College, so I have members of all the Raiders sports teams in one or more of my classes. So I can tell you that this week is Thanksgiving week, and we're off all week. So last week was our last week of classes before a week off, and then a final week of classes before finals. So we've only got 2 weeks until the end of the semester after a week of vacation. So I would imagine that most of the players on both of the teams were thinking about holiday plans and got to get out of here. And it's also the time of year where all of the classwork sort of comes due at the same time, term papers and assignments and things like that. So if they looked sluggish, there's a reason to be. It's a long semester and it's almost over, and we're all ready to go home for Christmas. So the fact that they were able both to pull out wins, I think, is strong testament to their performance.
And that's kind of what I was thinking as well. Looking ahead to this week, of course, we're taping early this week, so we're going to be taping before the Lady Raiders take on Logan on Monday afternoon. But the men and women both have some really nice tournament games coming up. The Lady Raiders are making the trip down to Athens, Texas, to play in a tournament at Trinity Valley. They will be taking on Panola on Friday, and then taking on host Trinity Valley on Saturday in a rematch of a game they played here earlier this month. That's going to be really tough. The Lady Raiders beat Trinity Valley by 6 here. Getting a win on Trinity Valley's home floor is going to be a lot tougher. But that's what the Lady Raiders need. They need those tests, just like the men need tests. And the men are going to get tested this weekend in the Bank of Grandin Thanksgiving Classic at the Leibel Family Sports Complex. The Raiders are taking on East Mississippi on Thursday night. East Mississippi just lost their first game of the season. They were getting votes in a recent NJCAA poll, so that's going to be a nice test. Then the Raiders will take on Northeastern Oklahoma A&M on Friday. That's going to be interesting because even though NEO is a little bit down this year in the early going, this NEO team has owned the Raiders the last few years. I think it has been about 7 or 8 years since we got a victory over NEO. So if we can pull that one out Friday night, that would be huge because it's been a while since we beat those guys. And then we closed out the tournament on Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock by taking on Wabash Valley, who just a week and change ago beat us. And I think Three Rivers is going to be fired up for that one because Wabash Valley did not get our best punch. We were flat. We were at the end of a long road trip, and we played like it. And I think the Raiders are going to be hungry to show this Wabash Valley team just how good we are.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope the tryptophans from the Thanksgiving turkey have worn off by game time.
I agree. It's going to be interesting, and we are going to take a break, and we are hoping to have a special guest on when we get back here on the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.
This is Three Rivers College women's basketball coach Alex Wiggs, and you are listening to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.
And welcome back to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. We are joined on the Sports Desk right now by Poplar Bluff High School girls basketball coach Soley Dugas. Soley, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Y'all are getting ready to tip off the season on Monday. Actually, is it Monday or Tuesday of next week?
So the tournament starts Monday. We actually play Tuesday.
And I think you've got a good crew coming back this year. I know you lost some people to graduation, but you've got some good folks coming back. Tell me about that.
Yep, we have 5 seniors and 5 juniors, so pretty good crew coming back. 3 of the 5 seniors started last year, so we've got pretty good starters coming back, and then 2 juniors that will start also, and they'll give us some size inside, and we'll see what they can do.
Tell me about your starters.
Yeah, so we've got, it'll change every game. We're still trying to figure out what lineup works best, and obviously, depending on who we play, we'll factor into that too. But we've got the 3 from last year. Addie Valenzuela was our point guard last year. She really came into her own last year and did a good job, I think, handling the ball for us, and then she became a pretty good shooter towards the end of the season. So Just really impressed by her. I mean, she's one of those kids that stays after practice almost every day to get shots up and try to figure out ways that she can help the team. So really appreciate that. And then we've got Jaden Brandon. She's a guard for us. She plays the point also sometimes. She can really get to the rim and finish with contact. So she's a good one. She can shoot a little bit too. So having her out on the floor is definitely a difference maker. And then we got Paige Epps. Paige is a long, athletic kid that just, is very coachable, has a good attitude about her, good disposition. So there's definitely an upside when she's on the floor as far as some leadership and getting everybody where they need to be. So those are our returning starters from last year. And then we'll add some juniors into the mix. We've also got some other seniors that, will rotate in, and some of them may start depending on who we're playing. But we've got Addie Ordway. She comes off the bench. Depending on the game, there could be situations where she may start here and there, but she's really, fast, athletic kid. She actually is coming back from a knee injury last year, so we lost her at the end of the season. So we're just excited for her to get back out on the floor and make the most of her senior year. And we've got Skyla Edelman. She's also a senior. She's just a really good kid, great teammate. She'll get in and do her job, so we're excited about that. Two juniors that I'm really looking forward to stepping up are Bella Halliburton and Allie Johnson. Both, 6'2" kids that can score. So we're excited about having that, that size, obviously. But we, just got to play to our strengths a little bit and see what we can get done.
Cool deal. And you're kicking off the season with the SEMO Conference tournament, which is going to be at Poplar Bluff High School. I know you're excited about that. Tell me about that.
Yeah, super excited. So when I was in high school, they didn't have the girls SEMO Conference tournament. So it's pretty cool that they started that up. So I'm excited for that. It's rotating schedule for girls. I know the boys is always at Sykeston, but for the girls, it rotates every year, and it's back to Poplar Bluff. So we originally started it, and now it's back to us. So that's exciting, getting to host it and just hopefully get our home crowd and everybody to come out and support us.
Y'all are opening with Cape Central. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it'll be a good matchup for us. I'm excited about it. We played really well against Cape last year. They also have some really good kids returning, and they're in our district, so I think it'll be a good matchup for us to kind of see how we're looking, be a good test for us for sure to start out.
Good deal. What are some other tournaments y'all are doing this year?
So we're going to go, we have a couple showcases that we're going to go to. One is at STEAM Academy in St. Louis.
Nice.
And then we're going to go to the Rockwood Summit Holiday Tournament. So give us an opportunity to play some more district opponents or common opponents to people that are in our district. So we're excited about that also.
Rockwood Summit's a new one. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's a holiday tournament. Like I said, our biggest thing is we're trying to get more games against district opponents. Obviously, we play Sykeston and Cape, but there's other teams in our district of Farmington, DeSoto's, Melville's, North Counties that we don't always get a chance to play. And we've tried to work as many of them as possible into our schedule. But if we don't get them, we also would like to try to play teams that they play so that we kind of have a better idea. So, that tournament it's a good tournament. It's been going on for a while, and it's pretty competitive. Farmington's in it. And so just looking forward to kind of branching out a little bit and seeing how we can compare to other schools our size and just get out there and compete.
And when is that tournament again?
So it is December 27th, 28th, and 27th. Let me think here. 27th, and then it starts on a Friday or Saturday. Then we don't play Sunday. Then we play Monday, Tuesday.
So so it overlaps with the other holiday.
Yes,
that's good. That sounds like a pretty nice tournament.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal. So I'm excited about that to just get up there and go. So
and you got SEMO Conference schedule this year. That's always got some toughness to it. Jackson's always salty. You may see them in the semifinals of the conference tournament next week. And there's always tough people. I mean, Saxony Lutheran's another team you may end up playing in that tournament, and you'll also play later this season. Y'all are playing Donovan again, I believe. You got a nice schedule. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's a pretty good schedule. We're not playing Donovan in the regular season. We just, we're not in the Twin Rivers Christmas tournament. I think for us, it was really important to try to play some bigger schools. You know, we've got great competition around us, and we're thankful for that. But, you know, looking forward to postseason, you know, we're playing more of the schools that are our size. So I really wanted to give us as much opportunity against those types of schools moving forward. So.
Good deal. And, you know, and one thing that really stood out, I feel like y'all took a really nice step forward last year. And, you know, tell me about, you know, how you want to keep moving forward.
Yeah. Last year, I think, you know, we went into SEMO Conference tournament last year, seeded last, and we finished 5th. So I thought that was really good for us, kind of showing what we're made of and showing that, you know, we can compete. And so that's been my biggest goal, especially just as a new head coach, is just trying to compete and be competitive and get the program back to, you know, where we were competitive. And, you know, you didn't know, you know, teams were like, oh, we're playing Poplar Bluff, and it wasn't like an easy win. You know, it was one of those games where they knew that it was going to be physical. They knew that they were going to have to battle. And so just bringing that competitiveness back. Super proud of how we played last year. You know, that first season to only win 7 games, and then come back last year and win 15. So definitely headed in the right direction, and we just want to keep the momentum moving forward.
Indeed, looking forward to seeing what y'all are going to do this year. And that is Soley Dugas here on the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.
This is Three Rivers men's basketball coach Robert Kirby, and you are listening to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.
And welcome back to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle. It is time to do our weekly deep dive into the National Football League. I'm going to lead off by talking about the Titans. You know, we had what they call one of those things they call a moral victory this past weekend against Seattle. No, we didn't get one of the W column, but we sure had a lot of bright spots in a 30-24 loss to the Seahawks. Cam Ward continued his improvement, you know, at quarterback. He did not have a turnover this past weekend. He threw for a touchdown, ran for another, had over 200 yards through the air. You know, in his last 5 games, he has been completing 64% of his passes. He's only thrown 2 interceptions. He has a passer rating of an even 85. I mean, no, he's not ready to win a Super Bowl, but you know what? He has made massive improvement from where he was at the beginning of the season. I'm excited about that. Chimere DK is another guy that had a big day. He caught a touchdown pass from Ward. He had a return touchdown. You know, there's a lot of buzz that Chimere DK may be an all-pro return man as a rookie. I think he's got a good chance at it. We had some bright spots. I mean, even if our defense looked lousy, we played a very tough Seattle Seahawks team to a touchdown. I don't know how we're going to do this weekend against Jacksonville. I'm going to say Jacksonville will probably win that game. Jacksonville struggled in the desert at Arizona, so this is actually a winnable game for the Titans. So who knows what will happen. I think, though, I would almost rather us, you know, lose that game so we can keep our stranglehold on the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And you know, unless there's real value with either, I think there's an edge rusher from Miami that's everyone's consensus number 1 pick. Maybe you use that, or maybe you trade back a couple of spots, especially if, well, I mean, I'll tell you what, Shedeur Sanders winning his first game starting out of the gate sort of complicates the whole draft situation, because the assumption is always, the assumption has always been, well, Cleveland's going to have to draft another quarterback because they don't have anybody. But I mean, if Shedeur plays well the rest of this season, then that changes things up for the Browns. They're not going to be drafting a quarterback, and so that throws a whole wrinkle into the top 5 as far as that goes.
It doesn't. You know something? I was going to bring this up. Shedeur had a good day yesterday. I know there are some Shedeur haters out there, but you know what? I like this kid, and he looked good. He threw one really bad pass that got picked off early in the game, but he finished with over 200 yards passing. You know, he's the first Browns rookie to win his first start in 30 years. I mean, the last time a Browns rookie won their first start was when they were the old Browns before they moved to Baltimore, and the head coach was Bill Belichick. I mean, this is like when Bill Clinton was president, y'all.
Yeah. You're right now looking at the draft order. Tennessee's at the top, followed by the Giants. Then you've got New Orleans and the Jets, and then Vegas. Those are three teams that are obviously going to be looking for a quarterback on there. Cleveland might not. Washington, no. Cincinnati, no. Arizona, maybe. They might be ready to move off of Kyler Murray. Miami is still stuck in that horrible Tua contract. The Rams, and then the Vikings are sitting at 12, but they are on a trajectory to be a lot higher in the draft order, but I'm going to talk about that later.
Yeah, it's, Mark's Vikings did not have a good weekend this past Sunday, so I'm going to let Mark dive into that in a little bit. But Kyle, unlike me and Mark, your Rams had a great weekend, absolutely dominating a really solid Tampa Bay Buccaneers team on Sunday Night Football. Y'all look good.
Stop me if you've heard this before. The Los Angeles Rams put belt to ass to somebody, and no one's talking about it. But that's all right. It's just fine. No big deal or anything that John Matthew Stafford has 30 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. No big deal at all. Oh, by the way, we are officially now first in the NFL in points allowed per game.
Thanks to the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles' complete inability.
That was an amazing effort that they put on in an overtime win against Philadelphia, which I've always said the Eagles this year do not play or feel like last year's Philadelphia Eagles.
All they needed was a field goal. All they needed was a field goal in the second half to win that game.
I don't know what Sirianni was thinking.
I don't either. I mean, it's like, you're up 21 rip at halftime. You're 21-7. I guess Dallas scored, but I mean, you'd move the ball downfield at will, and it's like you can't. It's like Dallas still doesn't have a good defense. I mean, they have an improved defense, but it's still not a good defense. And I mean, you were literally having your. Did you see that pass where Hurts is under pressure and he just lobs a rainbow down the field, and A.J. Brown comes down with it? I mean, it just lands right in his hands. He's got going down backwards, does a backflip. I mean, it was one of the most amazing passes I've seen this season. And it's like, where is that magic in the second half? It's like, what happened to you guys? And we've seen that time and time again from the Eagles.
Feels off.
Come again?
I said something feels off with the Eagles this year.
Yeah.
And the record is great, but they don't feel when you watch them play and you look at the record, it doesn't match.
No,
when you
not
watch
at all.
us play, you're surprised we have 2 losses.
Yeah.
And I gotta shout out the front office, because I think one of the most slept on acquisitions was acquiring the former first round pick Emmanuel Forbes at cornerback. He's a former first rounder of the Washington Commanders, and this kid was maligned as a first round bust because the production just wasn't there. He was burnt toast in DC. So we pick him up basically as a flyer, and he's been lockdown city. And you add in also the production from the rest of the secondary. We re-upped our linebacker Nate Landman, so he got a new contract. D-line's doing D-line things. Now, I will say this about last night. We did not play the very best version of the Bucs. They are destroyed with injuries.
Yeah.
And Baker got knocked out last night. Teddy Bridgewater finished the ball game. This is a team without Mike Evans, without Chris Godwin, without Emeka Egbuka, without Baker Mayfield for the duration of last night, and without their starting running back Bucky Irving. We didn't face the very best version of the Bucs, but we still faced a good football team, and and just dog walked them 34-7 last night.
Yeah,
listen,
if Tampa,
we're the best team in football right now.
Yeah,
now, I'm not taking it for granted, but eye test is the eye test.
No, absolutely, and I'll tell you what. At this point, if I could just pick 2 teams right now to play in the Super Bowl, I want to see the Rams play the Patriots. I do, and I will root for the Rams. I will ignore all of the I will ignore how badly St. Louis got screwed over, and it's like that will be payback for the 2001 Super Bowl, because I would love to see Stafford just tear apart the New England defense.
I really like the Patriots this year. The one thing I don't like, which is why I'm not all in on them, is their schedule.
Yeah, it's fool's gold.
It is a really weak schedule that they had to go through this year.
Yes.
But I'm a massive fan of Drake May, and I love me some Mike Vrabel. There's plenty of pieces on that Patriots roster that are very much worth liking. Main X factor to that offense is their rookie running back Travion Henderson. He's been a dude this year.
Yeah.
That's why I got to shout out. And before we continue, as I've said before, Matthew Stafford is my MVP, and I know it'll be very uncommon to give a defensive player MVP consideration. And yes, the Cleveland Browns are 3-8, but my God, look at what Myles Garrett is doing this year.
Yeah.
11 games, 18 sacks.
Yeah, they're not going to give that. Yeah, well, he's going to get Defensive Player of the Year, but they're not going to give the MVP to a defensive player on a team with a losing record.
I get it, but
I know.
Dang it.
I know. That's why they have Defensive Player of the Year. I want to just take a second to look at the rest of New England's schedule. They're at home against the Giants. That looks like a Sunday night game. Yeah, Sunday night game. They're going to win that game. Giants are frisky, but they don't have enough tools to close games. Next week at home versus the Bills, that's going to be a huge game. The Bills are fighting for their playoff lives. That's going to be, and then they're going to go at the Ravens. The Ravens, again, are going to be fighting to win their division, although the Ravens haven't looked, well, the Ravens sort of turned it on in the second half, but we'll see how much improved they are. And then at the Jets, and then at home against the Dolphins. And, there's no way that Miami is winning in New England in January. That's just not going to happen. So let's go ahead and chalk up wins against the Giants, the Jets, and the Dolphins. That takes them to 13 wins. They're already at 10. 13 wins. That gets them the first round bye and home field advantage. And if they beat either the Bills or the Ravens, that's 14 wins, and that is insurmountable in the AFC. So, who would have dreamed that just 2 years after New England being at the bottom of the pack, that the road to the Super Bowl in the AFC would possibly go through Foxborough again.
And it's almost like they didn't let anyone get a chance to breathe.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, this is a different kind of New England team because Drake May is just wonderful. And the rest of my life, I will regret that the Vikings didn't or couldn't. And now maybe New England was just like, you can give us your franchise. We're not trading that pick for Drake May, which obviously was the right thing to do. They saw that. Because I think the Vikings' fortunes obviously would be completely different if they had May at quarterback. But, the fact that, May is so much more likable than Tom Brady ever was. And Mike Vrabel is like Mr. Rogers compared to Bill Belichick. So, I mean, it's just...
And maybe that was the issue with why a lot of people didn't like the Patriots. It's just because they were so soulless and just kind of like this engine just that was so finely tuned to perfection. There was no room for error and no room for any type of charisma. Even though they had charismatic guys, you had Ty Law and players like that had a little bit of swag to them. But when you think like stodgy, stick up the butt, image of football, you thought the Patriots.
Yeah.
Like they sucked the fun out. They were like the San Antonio Spurs.
Yes. Yeah. A championship team with no personality, just an utterly forgettable, Brady was like a robot, back there. Oh, and people complain today about the Chiefs getting favorable treatment by the referees. Number one, if you watch that game yesterday and all those phantom invisible penalties that were called against the Chiefs, and it's just ridiculous. Travis Kelce got called for offensive pass interference for blocking a guy that he wasn't even blocking. I mean, it was just absolutely absurd. But Belichick's Patriots always got the calls, beginning with the ridiculous tuck rule that they practiced.
Brady admitted the call was wrong.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and the fact that if you just gave Brady a dirty look in the backfield, they would flag you for roughing the passer. I mean, the fact that he got along so many years with just being, absolutely encased in bubble wrap by the referees, I think that was something else that led to a lot of the resentment against him. Plus, when you win 7 freaking Super Bowls, I mean, people are not going to like you.
Yeah, and Brady, that may be one reason he got to play as long as he did. Mark, you were talking earlier about the Chiefs. The Chiefs had a great win on Sunday, rallied from 11 down to beat the Colts in overtime at Arrowhead. That was a pretty impressive one. I'm going to let you guys talk about that one real quick.
Well, it was one that I called. I knew that the Chiefs were going to win that game because they had to. They absolutely had to. And Nance and Romo were calling it a playoff game. I mean, it really wasn't. It wasn't a playoff game for the Colts, but it was definitely a playoff game for the Chiefs. And the rest of their season is playoff games, which is why if they make it into the playoffs and their chances increase from like 15% to like 53, 56% with that win last night, they are going to be battle tested once they make it to the playoffs because you've got – what is it, 1, 2, 3? You've got 6 more games left. So you've got the Chiefs who are essentially going to be playing 6 playoff games before Wild Card Weekend. And they're going to be at the Cowboys for Thanksgiving. That's going to be a good game. That's going to be a challenge. At home against the Texans, who have a great defense. At home against the Chargers. At the Titans. Sorry, Mike.
And then that's going to be ugly. We are going to get boat raced, y'all.
Yeah, and then the rematch at home against the Broncos, and that is going to be a rock fight in the backyard against the Broncos, and then their last game of the season will be at Las Vegas. So I think, I'm not going to call the Cowboys. Well, I am going to call the Cowboys game, but I'm not sure. But the picks that I am sure about: Texans, Chargers, Titans, Raiders. That brings you to 10 wins. That gets you to possibly a 10-7 season. I think the goal of the Chiefs, though, is going to be to win out, or at least only drop that one game to the Broncos. And who knows? By then, the Broncos may be resting starters. Again, that is the next to last game. They may have already secured the AFC West title by that time, so they may be resting starters.
It's going to be interesting. Last but not least, because, hey, the Titans are least. Mark, talk to us about the Vikings. I know you're very frustrated about that one.
Frustration doesn't even begin to get into it. I will say this: J.J. McCarthy is the worst quarterback in the NFL, and it's not even close. I mean, he is the worst. He's the worst quarterback I've ever seen play for the Minnesota Vikings. He's worse than Christian Ponder.
Wow, that's a very hot take, y'all.
Yeah.
Ew. God, you know what? You sound like my boss. Because his wife is a diehard Minnesota Vikings fan. She's an all Minnesota everything fan.
Yeah.
And he straight up said this morning as I was leaving, so shout out to my boss, Chris, and the whole staff at, Casey's. But he said, dude, he's giving me Christian Ponder vibes, and I turned and about threw up on site.
Yeah.
At the sound of that thing. That's bad.
Yeah. I'm gonna just read you guys my blog from today. By the way, if you're hearing a beeping, I'm getting a spam call on my phone. The guys are both calling in on the phone, so I'm just going to vamp until that goes to voicemail because I'm afraid if I push a button, I'm going to disconnect you guys from the call. Okay, I'm going to read to you guys from my sports blog. It's called The Sandlot. You can find that at sandmansports.blogspot.com. If you follow us on Facebook at The Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle, you can also find a link to this, or you can just listen. It's not going to take a long time, but it is going to express my current thoughts about the Vikings. Vikings fans know hopelessness, but this is something altogether new. After an embarrassing 23-6 loss to Green Bay, an uncomfortable truth must be clear to all who've been unfortunate enough to watch the Vikings play this year. J.J. McCarthy is not ready to play quarterback in the NFL. I don't know enough about the nuts and bolts of professional football to speculate about what, if anything, might help McCarthy to show progress, but starting for the Vikings isn't working. If anything, it's making things worse. He is regressing in every phase of the game, and each week his performance gets worse, not better. What's baffling about this is that the entire organization had enough faith in McCarthy's potential to be their franchise quarterback that they allowed Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones to walk away from the team. Now we're left with a starter who can't complete a pass, an undrafted rookie free agent is the backup, Max Brosmer, and a journeyman veteran whose name I can't remember as the emergency QB3. There is no plan B this season. It was McCarthy or bust, and the whole thing is an epic bust. And I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. If you want to read the rest, please go to my blog. Again, that's sandmansports.blogspot.com. In the rest of the column, I speculate about the future for their head coach, Kevin O'Connell, especially the future of their GM, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, because of two things. Number one, Kwesi can't draft. He's already shown us in 4 drafts that they have been primarily unsuccessful drafts. And now it looks like Kevin O'Connell can't coach. He was supposed to be the guy who could develop anyone into being an expert quarterback. And if he thought that McCarthy was the guy, enough that they didn't need to keep Sam Darnold, they didn't need to offer Daniel Jones a chance to compete for the starting position. Remember, Jones wasn't promised a starting job in Indianapolis. He went and won it, but they told him, nope, McCarthy's our guy. And it's like, you made that decision based on the evidence in front of you. And we have seen the outcome of this team by the evidence in front of us. Now, I don't know if you accomplish anything by benching McCarthy and giving Brosmer a shot. Maybe Brosmer would look even worse out there. I think that's probably O'Connell's opinion right now about it. But, I mean, how can it get worse? I mean, how can it possibly get worse? McCarthy's quarterback rating was worse than it would have been if he had simply spiked the ball every time he took the snap. Think about that. If
39.6.
Yes, if he had simply spiked the ball into the ground on every pass play, he would have had a better quarterback rating than he did by all of the sacks he took and the 2 horrible picks that he threw. He's not an NFL quarterback. I mean, he's not. He's not. He shouldn't be starting, and the Vikings don't have another option right now. I'm at a loss. I do not see them winning another game this season. Literally, I do not see them winning another game this season. They're going to get humiliated this Sunday up in Seattle. Sam Darnold is going to be taking out, well, you know what Sam Darnold's going to do? Sam Darnold is going to show up like the guy whose girlfriend dumped him a week before prom and who shows up instead with the captain of the cheerleading team. That's what this Sunday is going to look like.
Yep. He's gonna be the dude that shows up like, oh, hey guys, I want you to meet my new hotter girlfriend named Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Oh,
You said Jackson Smith and Jigba, but at first I heard you say Jacqueline Smith from the classic Charlie's Angels of the 70s. Yep, that's exactly it. You're showing up to prom with Jacqueline Smith in 1978. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's a good metaphor. I'm gonna read off my lightning round picks real quick. Then I'll let you guys do the same. Thanksgiving games are coming up on Thursday. I'm going to take the Lions at home over the Packers. I'm taking the Chiefs to go to Dallas to beat the Cowboys. I'm taking the Ravens at home over the Bengals on Friday. I'm going to take the Eagles at home over the Bears. Looking ahead to Sunday, I am taking the Niners at the dog pound over the Browns. I'm going to take the Jags going to Nashville and beat the Titans. I'm taking the Colts at home over the Texans. I'm taking the Dolphins at home over the Saints. I'm taking the Falcons on the road to beat the Jets at the Meadowlands. I am going to take Arizona. I'm going to take Tampa Bay to bounce back and beat Arizona at home. I'm taking the Rams to go to Carolina and beat the Panthers. I'm taking the Seahawks to beat the Vikings in Seattle. I'm taking Buffalo to go to Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers. I am taking the Chargers to win at home over the former Los Angeles Raiders, now Las Vegas Raiders. I'm taking the Broncos on the road on Sunday night to beat Washington Commanders, and I am going to take the Patriots to beat the Giants in Foxborough.
I don't think I have anything different from what you said.
I got one because I got a hunch right now.
Yeah.
Both teams are in survival mode, trying to fight for a playoff spot right now. I'm taking Dallas.
Yeah, I can see that.
They got something. And I'm going to tell you right now, Kansas City has not faced a receiver balling out to the level George Pickens has been this year.
Yeah, but Dallas's defense, though, I mean.
It is, but at the same time, Casey's offense this year is not wowing either.
Well, and they've still got Spags at the DC position. I think they're going to pressure Dak. I mean, it's not going to be pretty, but just because the Chiefs have a better defense than Dallas does, I'm going to pick Kansas City. I won't be surprised though if Dallas wins, but I do think that Dallas is more likely to have the emotional letdown after a huge come-from-behind win against division rivals Philadelphia. I think Kansas City is going to be riding that momentum from their comeback victory to win that game on the road. But my confidence level on this pick is probably about 55%.
Like that again. That to me, that's a coin flip of a game. Same with Detroit and Green Bay, but I gotta say,
that's a payback game. Kyle
is him. He is every bit of him. Homeboy had over 260 total yards from scrimmage yesterday against the Giants, and that wasn't a scrub defense that he's playing against either.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs is a game changer. He is a game breaker. I got them at home. Baltimore's got their mojo back, and I mean the Bengals they're bungling. They're back to bungling.
I'm going to say
Bears Eagles. The Chicago Bears lead the NFL in turnover and turnover margin and turnovers forced. This team is an interception machine, and I think they can make enough plays and actually win in Philly.
Ooh, nice. That'd be a good one, guys.
I think that'll be a really good one. The fact that we're only 10-point favorites against Carolina, I think is a crime. That should be like 17. That's a steamroll. Niners at the Browns, Shadir's home debut, which, by the way, Kevin Stefanski quit being a jackass and announced that he's the starter. Clearly, you made it very clear you don't like this kid. But you know what's going to be funny? The Browns may win this game in spite of. So don't be surprised. Niners get 6, but don't be surprised if the Browns pull off an upset. They did beat Green Bay earlier this year. 6.5. Yeah, Mike, you guys are going to get smoked.
That could be ugly.
Yeah, Indy gets 3.5. The Texans are surging. That defense is the best in the NFL. They're doing just enough offensively to get things done. I got the Colts in a close one, but again, if Houston goes on the road and wins, no shock there. Tank Bowl, Saints, Dolphins, the who gives a crap game. Miami at home. Falcons and Jets. Shout out to Kirko Chains. Kirk Thuggins in 2025 winning a football game on a Sunday afternoon. Who knew it was possible?
Wait, who did they
Falcons
play?
Falcons are going to go on the road and win.
Play?
Even though Kirk Cousins has no arm left.
Who did Atlanta beat? Who did Atlanta beat?
They won at New Orleans.
Oh, come on! All right, you and I could win at New Orleans.
That is Falcons Saints. That's a nasty, nasty rivalry.
And the Saints are not a professional football team.
I know that, but what about the New York Jets? Does that constitute as well?
Oh no, I've got the Falcons beating the Jets. The Jets are an absolute dumpster fire, and they always have been.
Yeah. So again, like I said, shout out to your former quarterback Kirk Thuggins, getting it done on the road. Cardinals Bucks. This is a sneaky game because Arizona is playing better offensively under Jacoby Brissett, but then he got knocked out yesterday, so now they're down to third string Keaton Slovis. Don't be surprised if this one's a little closer, but if Slovis starts, sending a kid to make his first NFL start against Vita Vea is not a good idea.
Yeah,
Tampa wins an ugly one at home. You guys are going to get killed by Seattle.
Yeah.
Grief. Chargers are gonna dominate the Raiders. Bills at the Steelers. Buffalo wins this one, and I think they win it big because Mason Rudolph in 2025.
Exactly.
Need I say more? Denver goes to Washington. They'll win that game. It's definitely in the case of Doug Williams walking through that door. And Monday Night Patriots should beat the Giants. But again, the wild card to this whole thing is Winston. Jameis freaking Winston yesterday. Y'all, there is no if chaos defines a football player, it is Jameis Winston. You don't know what you're getting. He threw 2 touchdowns and caught one with a stiff arm on Sunday.
I want him in purple. I want the Vikings to sign him as a free agent in the offseason to come in and compete with McCarthy.
Dude, he still throws a beautiful deep ball, and honestly, with the receivers you have, that's free real estate. That's easy.
Oh yeah, I mean put him on the I know it's past the trade deadline, so can't get him, but I mean. Geez, can you imagine if you brought in if Winston was still a free agent and you just brought him in off the street and put him in to go up just trading deep ball against Darnold this weekend? Anyway, I've drifted off into fantasy land. That's how bad things are for Vikings fans. That Detroit Lions game, number 1, Detroit always wins on Thanksgiving. Number 2, that is a revenge game against the Packers, who came out in week 1 and just destroyed the Lions, humiliated them in Green Bay. So that's going to be a payback game. The Bengals find new ways to lose. I am curious. Well, with it being a Thanksgiving game, they're not going to rush Joe Burrow back, even though he is in his 21-day window off of IR. But I think you're still going to have to go with Grandpa Joe getting out of bed after 20 years and playing for the Bengals. The Eagles are beating the Bears. The Eagles are not going to lose 2 in a row. It's just not going to happen. I feel the same way about the Bears as I do about the Patriots. It's fool's gold. It's a team that is feasting on a weak schedule. The Niners are your scary NFC wild card team. The Niners are getting healthy and they're getting better, and they probably have, maybe the best head coach in the entire league in Kyle Shanahan, certainly one of the top 3 or 4 coaches without a doubt. Stefanski is just cashing his check in Cleveland until they cashier him into the unemployment line, and he'll be unemployed for as long as it takes him to interview with another team. Maybe the Vikings will be looking for a head coach.
Or the Titans.
Yeah, well, the Titans would be smart to hire. You know what? I'm picking Tennessee to upset Jacksonville. Jacksonville is so up and down.
Wow.
You think that they finally got
because of Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Yeah, you think, wow, they finally got it figured out, and then they come out and lay an egg. They're like really up and down, and they're playing on the road. I think even though Tennessee lost, I think they have reason to feel optimistic. I think they're going to be frisky against the Jags. Indy is not going to lose to Houston. Indy is just going to go back to what they should have been doing all day against the Chiefs, and that is running their MVP running back down Houston's the interior of Houston's defensive line. That's going to be That's going to be old-fashioned smash-mouth football. Yeah, Miami at home against New Orleans. Again, who cares? I'm actually going to be rooting for New Orleans, even though I'm picking Miami, because, again, I'm in tankathon mode. So I'm in let's get all of the basement dwellers to win 5 or 6 games so that Minnesota can get a top 3 pick. Atlanta over New York. Don't be surprised if Cousins goes into MetLife Stadium and throws 3 or 4 interceptions and the Jets actually steal that game. The Cardinals, they do have an improved defense. Walter Nolan, oh my gosh, Walter Nolan playing defensive line. Did you see that play? He tipped a ball and picked it off, and then
he's a stud.
I hadn't seen him play before the draft. I just read all his thing and it's like even among other defensive linemen, he looks big out there. It's like, my God, that guy is huge. He's just monstrous. I think LA is going to beat Carolina, but this has all the trappings of a classic trap game. I believe Carolina's coming off a bye, and that is a long trip for the Rams. Again, I think McVay will have them ready to play, but don't be surprised if this is a lot closer than you're comfortable with, Kyle.
Oh, no, Marcy, here's the thing. See, you're just messing around, but I was just messing around. But on some realness, that game does concern me. It's a noon kickoff. We're going to Charlotte, so they can get the early jump on us. Plus, Rico Dowdle is probably the most slept-on running back in the NFL this year. He's having an excellent season.
Yeah,
so we've got Carolina. If they want to have a real shot at us, they've got to get the jump on us early. Defensively, like I said, they're very solid defensively, and they run the ball really well. They're top 10 in the league in rushing. So again, this could be a trap.
Yeah, I think Seattle shuts out the Vikings. I don't know how many points they'll score, but the Vikings aren't going to score any. They're not even going to get within a reasonable chance of Will Reichard's range, which may be in excess of 70 yards. Reichard he's the only bright spot on this team this year. I mean, I could say, well, what about your receivers? I mean, it's like, yeah, I love jets and free 3, but they can't do anything if the ball's 10 feet over their head. So yeah, I think Seattle shuts out Minnesota. That's probably like maybe 42-0, 48-0, something like that. Something that might get a head coach and a GM fired at the end of the season. It's going to be that bad. The Bills are going to beat the Steelers again. The Steelers are a mirage. If they didn't have T.J. Watt on their team, they would not have a winning record. That is defense 100%. Vegas is god-awful. I mean, Vegas is one of the 5 worst teams in the league. The Chargers beat them easily. Denver is just going to throttle Washington. And I feel bad for the Commanders. The injuries have really piled up on them. They haven't really had the opportunity to build on their success from last season because of their injuries. And so I think they are in a situation similar to Mike's Titans, where it's like, you know what, just play out the rest of the season and get a high draft pick. The Patriots are going to take care of the Giants at home. But again, the Giants are a lot better than their 2-10 record would indicate. You say, 2-10, this is going to be easy. The Giants play right until the last whistle. They don't give up. They play really, really hard. And so the Patriots are going to have their hands full. And don't be surprised if the Giants go in and pull the upset, because they're not afraid to play outside in the cold. So that's it.
It's going to be interesting, guys. And on that note, we're going to call it a week. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. We will be back at it next week. And I'm Mike Bueller.
I'm Mark Sanders.
And I'm Kyle Roberts.
And you have been listening to the Sports Desk with Mike, Mark, and Kyle.